Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome, everybody, to our services this evening. I'm Rabbi Benjamin Zober, and it's so lovely to see all of you on this evening as we are celebrating Jewish Book Month, among other things. Whether you are here in person or you're out there in internet land, thank you for bringing in Shabbat with us this evening. If you are virtual and you would like a copy of our service to follow along, you can find our virtual Siddur at sinaireno.org/live. It will have all the readings and everything you need for this service. We begin our service with a reading on page 8. Let's read that together. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. It is my honor to invite up Mara Langer to light our Shabbat candles. If you would like to follow along, you can do so on page 2. Lift up, there you go. And the underside of the roof is the strike plate.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, clever. Okay.
So close. It's trick candles.
It's the short wick. There.
Okay.
You all please join with me.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav lahazivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Thank you. We continue our welcome of Shabbat with some songs. Our first song is found on page 10. We will be singing Ma Yafeh Hayom, how lovely today Shabbat is. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. And our next song is Shir Chadash, which is in a completely different part of the book. You can find it on page 344. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. 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 Shiru l' Adonai, Shir Chadash. Sing unto earth, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. A new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash. Well, I guess I hadn't memorized that one. Sorry. We turn now to Lechado D, which begins on page 20. As is our custom, we will be singing verses 1 to 5 and 9. And I invite you, when we reach the 9th and final verse, if you are able and you are comfortable, to rise and turn to the entrance of the space that you are in, whether it is the sanctuary or home or wherever you happen to be this evening, as we welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemu tiferet v'latila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki mekor habracha, mirosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orel kumi uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayk nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Bo'ii v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'betola, toch emunei am skula, bo'ii kala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. We turn now to the Chatzi Kaddish, which begins on page 26. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach urute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyom echon uv'chayei kol beit Yisrael. Bagala, uvizmahan kariv, v'meru, amen. Yehesh me Rabba mevarach, le'alam wa me'almaya, yitbarach, Yitbarak v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale, v'yithalal, shemei d'kudesha berichu. Leila min kol birchata v'ashirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, dahamiran be'alma, v'meru. Amen. We turn to page 28, and I invite you, if you are able, to please rise for the Baruch Hu. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach Aru Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Le'olam va'ed. Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Le'olam va'ed. We turn to page 31, and we read together at the very bottom of the page, I know that the tide is not an independent force, but merely the submission of the water to the movement of the moon in its orbit. And this orbit, in its turn, is subject to other orbits which are mightier far than it. And so the whole universe is held fast in the clinging grip of strong hands. The forces of earth and sun, planets and comets and galaxies, blindly erupting forces, ceaselessly stirring in ripples of silence to the very depth of black space. Together with the Chatima, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. Ahavat Olam can be found on the very next page. Ahavat Olam, Bet Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadata, Otanu limadata. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shogvenu, kumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, uvahem nage omam v'layla, nage omam v'layla, v'yahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema can be found on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, ורוכשים כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. You may be seated. Just before we're about to get into the V'ahavta, I think of it, you teach it to your children, and I'm wondering, where are my children? They're in the building somewhere. If they're within earshot, I hope that they come running soon. Maybe not. But we continue together on page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'shachbacha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem mi'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. We turn to page 39 and we read responsively at the top of the page. Standing at the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We sing together Mi Chamocha, page 40. Mi Chamocha be'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, O sefele, Nora tehilot, O sefele, malchutacha, ra'uvanecha, bokei ayam, livnei Moshe, zelianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch, Adonai imloch, le'olam va'ed. V'nemar kifar Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo mi'ad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. And we turn to page 42 and we read the English. Grant, O God, that we may lie down in peace. Raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We continue with Vishamru, page 44. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael od hi leolam, od hi leolam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. All right, well, properly warmed up. We turn to page 46 for the Amidah, and I invite you, if you are able, to please rise. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei B'nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechakel chayim b'chesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Sohomed noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umkayem emunato, Lishanei afar. Michamocha bal gevurot, umidom melech, melech menid umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh. We continue silently to page 62. Please be seated when you are ready or when you have finished. Ose Shalom can be found on page 62. Ose Shalom, Shalom Bimromav, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, Ve'ol Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Uyase Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Ose Shalom, Shalom Bimromav, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, Ve'ol kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Ve'ol kol Yisrael. Amen. At this time, we turn to Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our Torah service this evening. We turn to the top of page 245, and we read together, "Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God." It is my honor at this time to invite up Neva Donovan to open our Ark and John Louis to carry our Torah. We turn to page 246, and I invite you to please rise. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udevar Adonai merushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael v'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Gadlul Adonai Iti Uneromamo Shemo Yachtav Lecha Adonai Hagedula V'Hagibura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hahod Ki kol b'shamayim u'va'aretz Ki kol b'shamayim u'va'aretz Lecha Adonai hamamlacha Yamid na'aseh lekol rosh Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Ha'olam omed Al haTorah Ve'al ha'avodah Ve'al gemilut chasadim Al haTorah Ve'al ha'avodah Ve'al gemilut chasadim Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. If you could undress. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehalleluya, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehalleluya, hallelujah, hallelujah. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you to both of you. At this time, it is my pleasure and my honor to invite Jeff Gingold up for our Aliyah. Ya'amod Yaakov ben Yachil v'ratzil le'aliyah ha'Torah. Let's hold out.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacha banu mikol hamim ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Long chain. Amen. Va'eret toldot Yitzchak ben Avraham. Avraham holed et Yitzchak. Vayahi Yitzchak ben 40 shana. Bikachto et Rivka. Bat Betuel ha'arami mipadan aram. Achot Lavan ha'arami lo la'isha. Vayater Yitzchak la'Adonai. Ranachoch ishto ki ekrahi. Vayater lo Adonai. V'taher Rivka ishto. V'yitratu habanim b'kirbaha. V'tomer im ken lama ze anochi. V'telech lidrosh et Adonai. V'yomer Adonai la shnei goim bibetnech v'shnei amim mimaich yaparedu v'raom mirom ya'emat v'rom ya'avod tzayir.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yasher Koach. Misha Berach Avotenu ve'imotenu, Avraham Yitzchak ve'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless you as you have come up to Torah in honor of God and Torah. May you merit from the Holy One of blessing protection, rescue from any trouble or distress, and from any illness, minor or serious. May God send blessing and success in your every endeavor, together with all Israel. And let us say, Amen. At this time, we turn our attention and our thoughts to those in our community who need a little bit of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. At this time, we are thinking of Laura Bartleson, Kathy Bartlett, Tracy Bartlett, Batya Tali, Laura Cohen, Dan Dworkin, Jeffrey Four, Stephen Gould, Marlene Harris, Debbie Herman, Kevin Knox, Margaret Lewicki, Airman First Class Trenton McGregor, Harav Miriam Bat Shifra V'Pinchas, Harav Miriam Yael Chaya Bat Sarah, Nechama Chana Bat Shmuel Yitzchak Verut, Tim Ober, Leslie Pansky, Claire Petersky, Carol Pevney, Cindy Powell, Jackie Ramirez, Judy Ramos, Sarah Bat-Chava, Phil Shallett, Chris Stanton, Vanessa Wagner, Bobby Wells, Asher Zelech, and we send prayers of healing to those in areas of our world that need a particular bit right now. Certainly thinking of Israel and Hawaii and Ukraine, everywhere there is strife, everywhere that people are affected and need our prayers. If there are other names that you wish to contribute, I invite you to do so online by sharing those names in the comments. And if you are present here, I invite you to do so when my eyes meet yours.
Hey, Shirley.
Joshua Rubenstein.
Ken Nyman, Vic Yetwood.
Sue Bellman, Ray Steinberg.
Our song of healing, Debbie Friedman's Misha Berach, which we send out to all of those folks we are thinking of, can be found on page 253. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBrecha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBrecha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. At this time, it is my honor to invite up Renee and Ronan to help dress our Torah. We turn to page 252, and I invite you to please rise. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. We turn to page 257 and we read responsively. When Torah entered the world, freedom entered it. The whole Torah exists only to establish peace. Its highest teaching is love and kindness. What is hateful to you, do not do to any person. That is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. Go and learn it. Those who study Torah are the true guardians of civilization. Honoring one another, doing acts of kindness, and making peace. These are our highest duties, but the study of Torah is equal to them all because it leads to them all. Let us learn in order to teach. Let us learn in order to do. Page 256. Etz Chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomchecha mehusham teracheha darchei noam v'chol notilatecha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chodesh, Chodesh Yameinu Chodesh Yameinu Kekedem. You may be seated. History is a nightmare from which I am trying to awake. James Joyce. If we are looking for enlightenment or justice, suggests Joyce, history is not the place to find it. Reflecting on this idea, James Baldwin wrote that Joyce is right about history being a nightmare, but it may be the nightmare from which no one can awaken. People are trapped in history, and history is trapped in them. So what about our history? Just moments ago, we read, 2 nations are in your womb, 2 separate peoples shall issue from your body, 1 people shall be mightier than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. 2 nations. From 1 womb, 2 peoples, a fraught relationship between them. In the Torah, these nations are the people Israel and the Edomites, the children of Jacob's brother Esau. The 2 nations would be rivals despite all that they shared, fighting over borders and land, vying for dominance. The Torah follows that lineage from Esau to the nation of Edom to Amalek, who attacked us when we were exposed and helpless. Later, Esther would square off against Haman, a descendant of Amalek and Esau before him. The rabbis intended to identify all of Israel's enemies as descendants of Esau and Edom. Later, the rabbis would reinterpret this rivalry to be a rivalry with Rome. The names of Esau and the Edomites fill the Talmud and rabbinic literature to covertly disparage and criticize Rome. Rabbi Harvey Fields explains that in each generation, it was as if the battle between the brothers Jacob and Esau never ended. Jews and non-Jews were still at war with one another because the history of prejudice and brutality was so painful. It seemed to justify the continued use of Esau, Edom, Rome, Haman, Hitler as the stereotype for all the enemies of the Jewish people. And now, when we think of two nations at odds over land, two peoples with a shared history fighting one another, we cannot help but think of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Is this just another part of that ancient battle? Are we, as Baldwin said, in a nightmare from which we cannot awaken? Many times in recent days, I have heard a somewhat resigned reaction to the conflict. Well, we've always been at war with them. But just like our history with the Edomites, it is not so simple. Although it has not always been the best relationship, most of the history of Jewish and Muslim relations has been a favorable one. When Muslims took control of Spain in 711, it began a golden age for Jews. For hundreds of years, we lived in a tolerant society among Muslims, and they allowed us to thrive. Arts, literature, culture, philosophy, religion all blossomed. The Jewish poets of the time were influenced by Arabic poetry, created works that we still use today. Maimonides was born into this community, and his writings remain some of the most significant post-Talmudic works in Jewish life. Christian domination of Spain ended this golden age, and we were expelled. But after the expulsion of the Jews from the Iberian Peninsula, the Ottoman Empire became our home until sometime in the mid-16th century. The Sultan there not only invited Jews to come and settle, but scoffed at those who expelled the Jews and rejoiced at his luck for being able to welcome them into his lands. It was not perfect, of course, and there were certain rights and privileges that we were denied as Jews, and there were some instances of persecution and tragedy. But we lived together for hundreds of years. And there is no reason that we could not do that again, and no reason to believe that we were always enemies or that we always will be. So, is history a nightmare when it comes to our Muslim brothers and sisters? If we look only to the past 75 years, less than a lifetime, we do find mostly strife. Although even that is not the whole story. There have been peacemakers, ones who have surprised us with a willingness to do so, surprising names like Nasser and Arafat. And there are people who even gave their lives to peace, like Yitzhak Rabin and Vivian Silver, a peace activist who we learned just this week was not one of the hostages as we had thought, but instead one of the victims murdered on October 7th. There are forces greater than us. We are not always in control of our destiny, our fate, or our lives. And for much of history, we had very little control of anything. And in that, Baldwin was right. Those are forces that we cannot escape. But as Baldwin and Joyce offered their assessments on the traps of history, we should wonder what a Jewish writer might have to say about this. Author Franz Lids remarks, people, they get trapped in their own history unless someone shows them a way out. We may be trapped by much of history, but our own history, the way we view ourselves and our past, that is not inescapable. We cannot allow ourselves to be trapped in our own history, especially when that history is a short-sighted and tragic version of our long past. If only someone would show us a way out. The way out of history does not have to come from outside. Some of that way out can be found in our own sacred and beloved texts. Reminders to love our kin and not to hate. And we have power. We have more than we may have ever had in history, in control of our fate and our actions, and that includes the power to make peace. But we cannot use that power if we are trapped in thinking that peace has never been a reality and that we are doomed to always stand in opposition. People get trapped in their own history unless someone shows them a way out. We can show ourselves out. Our texts remind us that Edom is our own kin, that we are brothers and sisters to those who share a past with us. We can look to the scholarship, the art, and the ideas from those who lived in that golden age and work to live in one again. As Deuteronomy admonishes us, you shall not hate an Edomite, for the Edomite is your kinsman. There's a story of Rabbi Elazar ben Shamuya as he was once walking by a seaside, and he noticed there was a boat out at sea and it was sinking. A moment later, he sees a man emerge from the wreckage, clinging to a plank of wood and floating towards the shore. Other Jews were walking by. The man comes out of the sea and he's naked, having lost all of his clothing. And he calls out and he says, I am a son of Esau, your brother. I have lost everything. Please give me a garment to cover myself. The Jews refused. They said, your people have treated our people with cruelty. Therefore, may all your people be stripped bare as you are today. Then the man turned to Rabbi Elazar and said, please, you are an honorable man. Please help me. Rabbi Elazar took off one of his garments and gave it to the man. And then he brought the man into his home. He fed him and he gave him money to start his life again. Sometime later, the emperor died, and that rescued man became his successor. Once in power, he ordered that all of the Jews in his state be killed. The Jews turned to Rabbi Elazar and asked him to plead for them. When the man who was now the ruler saw Rabbi Elazar standing before him, he said, does not your Torah teach, you shall not hate an Edomite, for he is your brother? I told your people I was the son of Esau, and they treated me with hatred, not with kindness. The penalty for violating the Torah, is it not death? Rabbi Elazar replied, they are guilty of breaking the law of the Torah, but I beg you to please forgive them. The king, recalling what Elazar had done for him, answered, because of what you did for me, I will forgive them. We have choices to make. We can be trapped by our history, or we can use it to set ourselves free. Shabbat Shalom. At this time, we turn to the Aleinu, which is found at the bottom of page 282. It is my great pleasure and honor to invite Kiel and Kristen up to open our ark, and I invite you all to please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. Who may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Page 287. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu Vayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Thank you. You may be seated. We think now of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. At this time, we remember Sue Berkhammer, Daniel B. Stage, Aron Yosef, Tova Bat Meir Vatirza, Raymond Russell Riker, Judith Tamkin, David Torgman, Lorenzo Otero, Anita Goldwasser, Jamie Smith, Mark Umlas, Francine Catherine Barr, David Ben Avraham, Tatiana Marie Granoff, Millie Ralston, Carol Ann Garris, Esther Bat Evron, Scott Johnson, Eric Hobson, and on this Shabbat we commemorate yahrzeits for Lucille Alexander, Marshall A. Kotlicki, Frank Gray, Andre Beals, Dorothy Beckman, Jean Langer, Diane Goodman, Adeline Rubin, Helen Bloom, Tammy Niedzwicki, Nancy Livingston, Patricia Blanchard, Ralph Wolfstein, Miriam Cooper Reed, Amy Garfinkel, Barbara Gonzalez, Leona E. Green, Ruben Cladney, and Claire Fox Wolpe. In addition, we add all the names of those who are victims of senseless violence and death in the Middle East. If there are other names that you wish to add, I encourage you to do so again in the comments when my eyes meet yours.
Buzz Cotton, Louise Curtis, James Hendricks.
Nick Foster.
Kadisha Tome can be found on page 294. If it is your custom, I invite you to please rise. Yitgadal, V'yitgadash, Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach yirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shmei dekudesha berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all who mourn, to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. We have a few announcements for you this evening. Laura, where did Laura just, can you regale us with some announcements?
Hello, everyone. Shabbat shalom. So for those of you who are with us in person tonight, please do stay after for what I'm sure is a fabulous oneg put on by our library committee in Jewish Nevada in observance of Jewish Book Month. I've been promised that it was appropriately Jewish mothered over and that there is way too much food. Do your part. Please stay. If you can't join us in person but are instead online, please do stick around for the Yisma Zoom. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Torah study continues via Zoom. Where are we now?
We're in Exodus. We did a little detour. We were working on a special project for the CCAR, but we are through that and have sent them all of our ideas, and we're back to back into Exodus.
Very good. So if you need links for either tonight or tomorrow, please do go to the website and use the search bar. Sunday, there is Sinai School, so 9:30 Sinai School, and the family service also 9:30. So if you have kids who are not quite of Sinai School age, or if you just really like a weekday service, please join at 9:30 for that. And then I'm sure Jill will talk about the afternoon event, so I'll leave that to her in a moment. This coming Tuesday, November 21st, please come in for lunch with the rabbis at 12. There is no such thing as a free lunch, so bring your own, but you can ask the rabbis any questions you'd like. And then at 7 p.m., bring your unfinished projects. We know you have them for Crafter Schmooze. We then head into Thanksgiving, so office will be closed Thursday and Friday. But we are on for a fully masked Kabbalat Shabbat service on Friday the 24th. That might be small, so if you were on the fence about coming, please come and fill up the room so we can have a minyan. There is no Sinai School on the 26th due to Thanksgiving. And then our last November event is Torah for Tots Hanukkah edition on November 30th. Should be very adorable. If you're not on the Torah for Tots list, please send an email to Judy Schumer. It's fantastic. We'll see you there. And then the only other thing to say from me before I turn it over to Jill is that you may see our beautiful new poster in the lobby challenging you to the Year of Renewal Oneg Challenge. If you have not signed up to sponsor an Oneg as an individual or a family or an affinity group or, I don't know, whatever group you choose, please sign up for one. You can do it all on your own. You can hire Tracy and Crystal to set everything out for you, but we'd love to have a full year of Fridays where we get to hang out and see each other and build community, and we need your help to do that. So at this time, it is my pleasure to call up the incomparable Jill Flansreich to talk about the library committee and all it does. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Shabbat shalom, and I don't know why she said incomparable, but I'll take it. Good Shabbos, everybody.
Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Jewish Book Month. What is it and who and why and everything else? Jewish Book Month is held annually the month before Hanukkah. And it was created through the Jewish Book Council. And it's an event held throughout North American Jewish communities and through the publishing world to promote Jewish culture. It started in 1925 by Fanny Goldstein, who was a librarian in the Boston Public Library. And she curated an exhibit of Jewish books to encourage book giving during Hanukkah. So fast forward almost 100 years later, and here we are a couple of weeks before Hanukkah, and your library committee is recognizing Jewish Book Month in conjunction with sponsorship from Jewish Nevada, and special thanks to Mara Langer for that. And so that is why we are sponsoring tonight's Onig and why we have a special book event this Sunday. I want to recognize all of the members of our library committee who work so hard to keep our facility what it is today. We are a people of the book. We are also a congregation of over 4,000 books. And it is the library committee that maintains the main library and the youth library for everyone, not only here at Temple Sinai, but for members of all of the Reno community to come and enjoy and take advantage of. Marilyn Bowie. Marilyn, hi. Pam Brandman could not be with us tonight. Maureen Leschendock may be on Zoom if she is. Renee and Ronan Kier are our newest members. And Catherine Sweezy, who is at a wedding this evening. I'd like to recognize all of them and everyone who helped on Mitzvah Day to make our libraries as immaculate as you see them this evening. Also, thanks to the rabbis and our board of directors and our Sinai School faculty who continue to support our work. Tova McGilvray, our president, has called this the year of renewal for our congregation. And for our libraries, it's a year of renewal as well. We've come through COVID. We've come through a year of construction to improve the security system in the building. And finally, both of our libraries are open for everybody to enjoy. When you are in the libraries now, you'll see new displays. There's a specific bookcase just for current events at Rabbi Ben's request. We will continue to curate books relevant to what is happening in the Middle East and other events in the world. If and when you see books that you feel we should have, just email us, and the library can look at those for consideration for something we should carry. In addition to that, we always have new items. We recently purchased 18 new books, courtesy of our board of directors. And so feel free to browse through those. It's everything from cookbooks to fiction. There's a full range, and you'll see a sign, new arrivals. And lastly, there is an exhibit called Let Freedom Read, which is in conjunction with the American Library Association. And on display are books that we house that are now listed as banned books in the country. So I encourage you to look for those and again, make recommendations if need be. We have over 4,000 books that you can access and look through and our online public access catalog. And that's available at sinaireno.org/library. You can go on in your pajamas, you can go on when it's snowing, and you can see everything that we have. And there'll always be what we call a carousel at the bottom, and that will show you the newest books we have. And it will also show you the current event books that we're carrying. So every time we catalog a book, it's going to pop up there. The library is open during regular synagogue hours for anybody to use. If you want to come in, and we have free Wi-Fi, work, study, read, learn, and just enjoy the environment. Anytime the synagogue's open, the library is, as well as during Sinai School. If you're parents of Sinai School students, visit the library regularly with them and encourage them to borrow books and take them home. And lastly, I do want to thank the rabbis because we are now have sent in an application to become members of the Association of Jewish Libraries. And please thank Rabbi Sarah especially this evening. And let's see, programming and events. We do them all year round. For those of you who joined us at our Community Interfaith Sukkah dinner, that was sponsored by the Library Committee. We had over 50 faith leaders and members of our community join us outdoors at the end of October. This Sunday, we'll be hosting what we call Bookmarks. It's being sponsored by Jewish Nevada. And between 2 and 4 o'clock, the author Claire Sanford, who is a UNR creative writing English professor, will be reading from her book, Happy for You. And then we'll have the Q&A session. And then in true Jewish tradition, we will adjourn to refreshments, courtesy of Jewish Nevada. And we'll be able to mix, mingle, and there'll also be a book signing. Radical Cat, an independent bookseller in town, will be here with the book Happy for You. There are flyers at the table. If you cannot join us in person, you can go online and just come in from home. And you just go to sinai-reno.org live, and you will see a link there. Again, it's Sunday. The actual presentation is from 2 to about 3. If you're home, make your own refreshments after that. If you're here, please come and join us. And special thanks again to Mara and Jewish Nevada. We together went and she bought quite a lovely array of food. Okay, one last thing. Save the date, Wednesday, April 17th, 5 to 7. Here will be our other bookmark program for the spring. It's called Anti-Semitism, There, Then, and Now. And it'll be moderated by Mara from Jewish Nevada. And on our discussion, there'll be Elliot Mallon, who's a board member of Jewish Nevada, among many of his other titles. Dennis Dworkin, who's a PhD Sinai member and a UNR professor of history, specializing in Britain, Ireland, and Europe. And James McSpadden is an assistant professor up at UNR. And his specialty is modern Europe, particularly Germany and the lower countries in the 19th and 20th century. And they'll be engaging in a conversation, again, about anti-Semitism there, then, and now. It will be in person and it will be streaming live. So save the date, April 17th. It's just right before Passover. So set aside some time while you're cleaning. And lastly, if you're ever interested in supporting our libraries, time and talent is welcome on our committee. And also, if you ever want to give book donations, just send us an email. Please don't just bring them into the library, but send us an email first and we can go over the procedures together. And lastly, there's always the restricted library fund. And if you donate to that, those funds specifically are earmarked for supporting the library. So I kept you for a long time from what we hope is a delicious oneg. Almost at Thanksgiving, we're very thankful for all of you. I'm very thankful for all of our committee members, and I'm especially thankful for everyone who helped on Mitzvah Day. It was a true mitzvah for our building and for the community. Good Shabbos and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you to the library committee. We are truly fortunate to have such an incredible library here. Yes. One good turn deserves another. Please, Mara Langer from Jewish Nevada would like to add a little bit more to our evening. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. And I just want to say a couple of words. First of all, for those of you who don't know Jewish Nevada, we are the Federation of Nevada. Our headquarters are down in Las Vegas, but I run our Northern Nevada office here. And I have a counterpart, Matt Levin, who runs our Hillel on campus. And so if you ever have any questions about Jewish Nevada, what we have to offer, how we can help the community, ideas that you have for programming, please reach out to us. I do want to promote a couple of things. If you'll just give me a few minutes, I want to reiterate Sunday's program from 2 to 4 here. We also have a regular hiking group that the next hike is on a Friday in January. If you don't receive our newsletters, let me know that as well. I'm happy to add you to our mailing list, but I'll leave these out on the counter for everyone to see. And then our very generous community philanthropist, John Farahi, has gotten the showing rights for a documentary, Upheaval, The Journey of Menachem Begin. And so it's a free movie that's coming to the Atlantis on December 5th. The doors open at 6:30 and the show starts at 7. So everyone's welcome to attend that. I do have registration available for that as well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And thank you all for giving me the opportunity to share these upcoming events with you.
Thank you, Mara. All right. And I would like to thank Laura for being our greeter this evening, and thanks to Ron for our live stream, and to thanks to all of you for helping usher in this wonderful, wonderful day of rest. All righty. Our closing number this evening is Ein Keloheinu, which can be found on page 322. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Chadonenu, Mi Chemalkeinu, Mi Chemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Shabbat Shalom.